Hey everybody, it's Rob here. We are now 3 weeks into Season 9 and I had a lot of you asking me how I personally like the season so far. And I must say, Season 9 has been more enjoyable than I initially thought it would. You know, on the PTR, we had like all these like crazy nerfs to the most fun builds, especially to my main class, the Barb. But I must say, with the live season and with some of the patches that they did, they really came through with like the different classes, and there's been so many builds. It has been a ton of fun. The Strongroom rework has been very enjoyable as well, and I think the game has been taking a lot of good steps. However, there are of course still many things that are like not ideal with the game, and I want to talk about, you know, all of this today in this video. So let's start from the beginning here with the new season theme that they introduced. So we have these heraldic powers here that basically like make you design your own skill in a way, and I really like the principle of the system, right? And during the early days, I felt like these powers here that we have were very meaningful. Like during like leveling and stuff, I actually felt like my anomaly and my other like disintegrate and all this other stuff was actually dealing some damage. And even in the late game, there's like some of these really cool things that have a lot of impact, such as removing the damage resistance auras with the fractured cores and stuff like that. And I like these kind of powers more than just a flat out damage multiplier or something, right? But they definitely could add more of these cool powers, like more bloody charms, more of those like, you know, apply vulnerable, or more of those fractured core kind of mechanics. I feel like most builds at some point end up using the same powers, especially in the end game. But you know, for a more casual player and during the early game, I think they can be a ton of fun. And I think these, I mean, I know the powers are getting memed a lot, but this is just one small part of the season and hopefully going forward as well. For that, I really liked it. Obviously, there could always be stuff to improve, but overall, I think it's a pretty solid system. One thing that I didn't like so much, though, was the seasonal questline. If you've done this season questline doing leveling or something, it's very annoying. Like, you know, I'm not much into the lore, but that lore part is fine. I was more annoyed by it asks you, you know, to travel like all over the map. Like first you go left, then you have to go right, then you have to pick up this, then you have to pick up that. And I was just not really like a big fan of that, just like mindlessly wandering around the map. But I would much like these season quests to be, you know, more focused on some of the actual fights and not just like, you know, moving around so much in the open world here. And that's just like been a bit of frustrating doing the season quest. And then there's also like a little bit of a scam going on here. If we remember the previous season, where we could have a very nice way of transforming your season reputation here, your season, what is it, like a season currency into like the reputation. This is like a full scam, because right now you're only getting for 200 heraldic knowledge. It requires you to spend 2,000 of those heraldic vials, and I think the ratio is just a bit cranked. I think last season it was a ton of fun making a new character and collecting these mystery caches. I mean, I certainly, you know, collected a few here, and they can be really rewarding if you're making a new character and stuff. I just think the ratio is a little bit on the backside, but I really like that you always have this way of getting guaranteed mythics when you make a new character and then grind it up, and you're actually getting the new characters and getting, you know, rewarded for making a new character. And especially this season, there's been so many different builds that we'll talk about here in a few minutes, and you can just get extra resplendent sparks and craft your mythics for that. Then the other part of the season theme was the Strongrooms and the escalation sigils. So I did not like the Strongrooms at all on the PTR, and I think Blizzard did a great job with making the Strongrooms actually super like rewards. Like the rewards on the Strongrooms are insane, and you get a ton of Obduxite, you get a ton of legendaries, you get a ton of potential to get this greater affix gear in those Strongrooms. And this has been like one of the best parts, I think, of the season theme, just like blasting through the Strongrooms, like getting really rewarded while doing so. And then I kind of must say, like, I also enjoyed the escalation nightmare dungeons, especially like there's these different ones with the treasure breach, and there's just like some of these like legendary ones that are really cool. I hope, or I wish in the future we'll get more, and they're gonna be more common, because some of you, like I made this like Goblin Breach video, I'm gonna link this below, that have not even seen this like kind of Goblin Breaches. And I think that's a bit sad, and that's a bit of wasted potential. So I think the legendary ones needs to be a bit more common. What I also like is, the amount of loot that you get in there is very good, also very efficient. The only problem I have with it, there's like no way really for the player to juice it. It would be very cool to make it more difficult, but also make it more rewarding at the same time. And you also see like they stop at tier 3. Like tier 3 is the highest and the most difficult, and it goes up the pit challenges. It goes up multiple pit tiers. However, I feel it's not really challenging or rewarding enough. Like I'm playing the Hydra Sork here for an endgame character. It's still kind of ridiculous and just a bit too weak and more like, in this like Torment 4 difficulty range. And I wish we could go down to, I don't know, level 20 or something, right? Instead of just going like deep 3 levels into those sigils. So juice them, make them more rewarding, and make them more challenging at the same time would be my hope for this system. But overall, with the addition of the Strongrooms, I think this has been a great W for the game. And then I think the most important of the entire season is the amount of different characters that you can play. Like I said in the intro, I was a bit sad of the state of the Barbarian. Like Barbarian got heavy nerf, and this was not only the Barb, like most other classes received a lot of nerfs to their meta and their fun builds. And why I don't really completely agree with, nerfing like all the top all the time, I'd rather see them buff the weak builds. But I don't agree with that so much, but they still succeeded with a full meta shakeup. And there have been so many different, cool, fresh, enjoyable, strong builds that we've been rocking here. So I personally started out with the Spiritborn. So Spiritborn has the Evade build that's super cool. You have the Thorns, Balazam builds that's super cool. And I really enjoyed it a lot. It can do a lot of damage. It's not that casual friendly. But then after that, we switched to the Hydra Sorcerer, the character I'm on here right now. And this has been one of the most fun experience. I think every season, each class should have at least one build that's like similar to the Hydra Sorcerer, like a cool, like new playstyle that's like enjoyable and where you can just blast and let your Hydra, I'm in normal now, but like let your Hydra basically just eat through everything. So this is like a ton of fun, super cool build that's just amazing to play around with here with the new Ophidian Iris amulet. And I think Sorcerer has been very cool with this. We've also been playing after the Sorcerer, and we've had a lot of fun with the Sorcerer. We've been going to the Druid, and we've been playing the Puddle Pulverized Druid here. This is our Obelix, our Fridge guy. Also a ton of fun on this build, man. Like this was like really enjoyable, and they finally made the Druid good, and they really, succeeded with all this like, meta shakeup. You see here the meta is completely shifted. I think every class, maybe with the exception of the Rogue, and even the Rogue, like I think every class is kind of playing a new, fresh build. And I wish this was the case in every season, I know the class balance, as you can see here, like Spiritborn being bugged again and like being miles ahead of everything. The class balance isn't the greatest, right? Like the class balance is pretty bad because of bugs and stuff. But overall, like having fresh, new, exciting builds, such as the Hydra Sork, such as the Thorn Spiritborn, such as the Puddle Pulverized Druid. We need this, I think, every season for every class. Like the Barb has Mighty Throw again, which is like an old meta build. But I've also really enjoyed me playing, the Lunging Strike Barb here. Even though it's not the strongest build, it's still enjoyable because it's new and it's fresh. And I kind of wish the same for Necro going forward. Like maybe we get a Necro, like they keep buffing minions, but minions are still not good enough. People are still playing Bloodwave and all these kind of builds. And I just wish that, every season, every class has like at least an A or S tier, like new juiced up build that is like, on the same level, as like a Hydra Sorcerer or like as the Pulverized Puddle Druid. So I think they really did a great job with that. And I think that's the main reason why I personally enjoyed the season. And I encourage you guys, if you're getting bored with the current season or something, that you try out some of the other classes. Like there are so many different cool builds that you can play on each class. Let's say you started Sorcerer and you're getting bored on the Sorcerer, like really go and try out the Fridge, try out the Druid. It's a different playstyle. It's very similar to the Barb. Like you're basically just hungry and like you're pulverizing those enemies in those poison puddles and you're an absolute unit. blasting this down. And then even, you know, if you want to play like a bit off meta, you can even play Barb, Lunging Strike, looking cool, super fun. Or if you like, you know, a bit of a challenge, you play the Spiritborn. You have a super crazy endgame scaling but squishy Thorns build here for the endgame. So that's definitely my big recommendation. Try out the Hydro Sword, try out the Pulverized Druid, and maybe try out the Spiritborn. I think you're gonna have a ton of fun. And this is what personally kept me going a lot in the game. And like I said, I really enjoyed this part of the game. Obviously, the class balance still needs a lot of work. And hopefully we'll make a separate like feedback video getting all into that. I also quickly want to talk about the pit rework, because they did rework the pits completely, basically to, let me just quickly go back here. You can go on the mount here, boom, boom, boom. The sorcerer is so insane. So they did rework the pit tier difficulties, so now every pit seems to be about 10 tiers weaker or something than last season. So this really makes it more accessible for more builds and more classes to get the glyphs to 100. I still feel like, you know, on classes like the Barb and like the Rogue, it's still a bit of a struggle, and the class balance still needs to be improved on that. But the pit rework has been pretty fun. I was just hope for the future that they make the higher pits more rewarding. Like, I don't know, every pit beyond 100 should give you more experience. It should give you a higher chance of getting greater affix items or something like that. Because right now there's just literally no reason or incentive to do like the high pits here really until they get the leaderboard or something for this. But we know Blizzard is cooking on a lot of stuff, and obviously the end game still has a lot of problems. I wish there's some more stuff coming here. I also have a very cool like link here that I'm going to link below. There's basically an announcement here for Diablo novel that's coming out in April 2026. This is possibly hinting towards expansion release date. Historically, if you've been paying attention, they've released Diablo novels with each, like, you know, new expansion of the games. And coincidentally, I think the April of next year is also a Tuesday. So we'll see what's going to happen. You know, we always have more damage on Tuesdays, and the new games and stuff is coming out on Tuesday. So maybe that's going to happen, and I'm still hoping, obviously we don't know for sure, but I'm still hoping we get this, like, you know, holy type, archetype, warrior, paladin, kind of holy class, whatever they're going to call it. That would be so much fun. There's some stuff floating around the internet. We'll see. We also have Gamescom and other stuff coming up. Maybe we'll get to know some more information about that. And yeah, I'm just, like, you know, really hyped to see like different stuff here coming up, different builds being in the meta. Also, before you go, guys, quick announcement here. We have a new Holy Drop. There's a ton of cool new flavors here if you want to check some out. I'm rocking the passion fruit right now. They have energy drinks, iced teas. They've been a partner here on this channel for a long time. You can enjoy sugar-free drinks, and you can get 10% off with my code ROB, and simply mix it in some water, add some ice to it. It's super delicious, and it works for long blasting session. You know me, like, we've usually been grinding here with Holy for 30 hours plus, you know, every season launch, and this has kept me going. Sugar-free, super delicious, tons of different flavors, and we're just rocking, man. And Holy, maybe we'll get a Holy class, man. That'd be sick. I'm just, like, you know, all eyes for Paladin, man. That'd be so amazing. And guys, again, I know there is a lot of critique for the game in general, and a lot of people, you know, don't like the game in its current state. And I agree with a lot of the critique here. I'm also working on a ton of, you know, extra feedback stuff. I have a document here that I'll keep building on, and I'm going to make a separate feedback video on all of the problems that we have in the game. But again, I think this season, with the build diversity, and if the team, like, you know, cooks up a cool build like the Hydra, like the Paddle Bear, like, you know, for like every season going forward, and then also works on the end game and itemization and other stuff long term, other problems, and maybe even add a loot filter into it, like some quality of life stuff, that would be amazing, man. And I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to be here. We're going to be blasting, and we're going to be checking out, you know, all these tons of different builds. So get out there and maybe try another class, guys. Hope you enjoyed. The Holy links are also going to be below. I'm also going to put the book link below. I'll see you soon, my friends. Take it easy. GG. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.